Question, do you know what your love language is? It's the way you best give and receive love. The other question, though, is do you know your child's love language? Parenting expert Dr. Suzanne Barchers joins us this morning to help us figure out how to decode our children's love language and how to communicate with them in that way. Dr. Barcher, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Great to be here.
So, you know, when I hear love language, I think a lot of us have heard it for many, many years, specifically when it comes to romantic relationships. So I guess I'll start out with how is it different and how is it similar when we're talking about our children's love language?
Well, I think the similarity is that these are similar love languages that they share. But the difference is that they may not be able to communicate as effectively and as adult will as to their preference. That takes a little detective work on the part of the parent.
Yeah, it really does put the responsibility on the parent to figure out what it is. So I guess the question is, how early do you start and how do you pick up on what that love language might be?
Well, they won't know, but you will start to figure it out very early if you're a detective and pay attention and you're observant. If you bring home a little trinket for your child after a trip and they're very excited, then their love language may indeed be receiving and giving gifts, especially if they bring little gifts to you and make art projects for you. But if they're kind of unimpressed with that, they may value spending quality time with you.
Yeah.
So part of it is incumbent upon the adult to think, wait a minute, how is my child reacting to whatever I'm doing and how are they acting toward me?
And actually, you know what, just so folks have an idea here, we should list them. So there's words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch. The other two?
Words of affirmation, acts of service, physical touch, quality time, and receiving gifts. I have to look at that list myself.
Here. I always miss one or two. But you know, some parents might say, well, love is love, right? Like they should be able to receive it however I give it. Is a child really that complicated? Why is it important, though, to communicate in their love language?
Well, you know, we used to think that if we gave words of affirmation to kids, they would know that we cared. And that was a very big thing decades ago. But now we've learned that for some children, that just becomes meaningless. They want to have that snuggle. They want to have that touch. Or maybe they want to do something with you for someone else, especially as they get older. Acts of service can become very important to a young teenager who wants to help out the neighbor or go to an animal shelter. It changes, too.
I was just going to ask you that. As they get older, can it change?
That's right. They'll value other things. So we have to be sensitive to that. I had a granddaughter when I was teaching during COVID who didn't like hugs, but she learned that I like to hug and that a strong hug made me feel good. So she changed to that.
Wow. Now, I wonder, too, can the way you receive love be different from how you give it? In other words, if my love language is quality time, is it still best that I communicate it in a different way, meaning communicate to the other person's preferred love language?
I think that's very important. And I think with children especially, it's time to sit down and say, here are some things we could do on a Friday night or a Saturday night. I'd like to do, maybe it's some volunteer work, but what would you like to do? And then plan out time, maybe over a month on the calendar with a variety of activities that suits everybody and meets everybody's needs.
Yeah.
And it's fine to say to your kids, here's what I want to do. Tell me what you want to do. Let's figure out how we can schedule to suit everybody and make us all feel good.
I love that. I love that you're teaching your child. It's not just the world doesn't revolve around you. Everybody is different, and you want to make sure that you're also seeing people and meeting them where they are. These are really, really helpful. Where can folks go for more resources and more information?
Well, there are lots of things online for it. I advise for a company called LingoKids, and we have resources for parents. And there are articles. It's free. You don't have to be a member to get access to it. A good place for general information is Common Sense Media for just information on children and apps and things like that. I always like to recommend that. But if you look at trusted sources, medical centers, things like that, there's lots of good information on parenting and on the love languages topic.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Parenting expert Dr. Suzanne Barchers joining us this morning. Appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.